Hi everyone, good afternoon. I am Michelle Padilla and I'll be presenting with Sebastian today and we'll be speaking about visioning your horizon at University of San Diego. A little bit about myself and Sebastian will tell you about himself in just a second. I am from Imperial Valley, so I'm so excited to be here with you all. I'm from El Centro and I graduated from Centro. I'm a Spartan in '07 and I did go to IVC for a year and a half, and then I transferred to USD. Now I am there working as the undergraduate admissions officer for multicultural recruitment, and I'm also the San Diego territory manager. But I'm so excited that Sebastian gets to present with me today because he is a current USD student, so he will be able to tell you more of how it is to be a torero now. So Sebastian, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
First of all, hi guys, Sebastian. I am originally from Phoenix, Arizona. I attended an all-boys Jesuit high school called Brophy in Central Phoenix, and I'm in my third year at the University of San Diego. So I've had the opportunity to kind of figure out that I want to major in real estate and double major in finance. And so I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to kind of give you help. I'm happy to kind of add to Michelle's presentation and kind of give you guys some insight on what the University of San Diego has to offer.
Great, thank you, Sebastian. So we're gonna talk about the history of USD, and then also academics, financial aid. I'm gonna give you a little bit of everything, and hopefully you guys have questions by the end of the presentation. Okay, so a little bit of the history of USD. USD first started as a college for women in 1952, and it was just for women. That Mother Rosalie Hill was a founder of that. Then a few years later, the College for Men was founded, but in 1972, that's when both colleges were merged together, and that's when USD, as we know it now, the Roman Catholic institution, was founded. So we're a pretty young college compared to other universities. 1972 from now is not that long ago. Like I said, we are a Catholic intellectual tradition, and what that really means is we want you to develop as a whole individual and be able to be spiritually grounded, but also know about the science and be able to merge those two. Then the Catholic social teaching, what that means is we want you to support your local communities. We want you to support your global communities and make a positive impact in both of them. Being a Catholic institution, we don't require students to be Catholic. We welcome everyone from all different faith backgrounds. We don't require students to attend Mass. Some students, even if they're not Catholic, they choose to attend Mass. When I was a student, I remember, especially during like finals, students will attend Mass a little bit more. But we do require students to take 2 religion courses. That's our only like religion requirement. But you do have an option to take one of those in whatever you would like. So it could be like Buddhism, Hinduism. When I was a student, I took Intro to World Religions. And I love that because I got to learn a little bit about every like major religion. How have you felt, Sebastian? I don't know your faith background, if you're Catholic or not, but I know your high school was not a public high school, so you have a little bit of experience on that, but how do you feel going to a Catholic institution?
So yeah, I grew up Catholic, so it's just kind of been the foundation that I walked into. Going to USD, it is a Catholic school, like you mentioned, and they do hold Catholic values, and so in that sense, there's a lot of familiarity. But at the same time, because I've met so many people, and a lot of my friends just kind of come from different backgrounds, it's been a good opportunity to kind of see what the Catholic faith has to say, but also kind of see the effect that it has on my friends, but also engage in a lot of fruitful and like worthwhile conversations as far as just kind of seeing their perspective and how we can move forward from there.
Great. And then down here, you can see a quote of Mother Rosalie Hill. She was one of our co-founders, like I just said, and she believed in beauty, truth, and goodness. And you will see, so she believed like through beauty, if we had a beautiful campus, it will attract students to come on campus. And on this picture, you can see her inspiring surroundings, and her vision came true because we're number 6 most beautiful campus in the nation. So on all of US, we usually always fall top 10. This this current year, we are number 6. And here, so you can imagine yourself more as a student on campus. We're not considered a small campus or a big campus. We're a mid-range institution, which I think is perfect. We have 5,919 undergraduate students, and you could imagine yourself in your classroom with students from all over the US, because we have students from 47 different states. The 2 states that we're missing are South Dakota and Delaware. So if you guys know anybody from those states, tell them to come to USD so we can have all 50. We also have students from all over the world. 9% of our students are international, coming from 60 different countries. And we have counted, there's 30 different languages being spoken at USD on an everyday basis. Also part of our Catholic identity, tradition, we welcome everyone. Like I said, 38% of students self-identify as students of color. And then going back to the Catholic religious aspect of USD, 40% identify as Catholic, meaning 60% are non-Catholic or have a different faith background. Sebastian, how have you felt? Do you feel like USD is a really small campus? Is it like too big? Do you feel like you're always meeting new people?
Yeah, I come from like, so my high school is a pretty big high school. And so coming to USD, I think personally for me, it's been the perfect size, just because it's small enough to where I can see my friends, I can see the people that I know, but it's big enough to where there's always going to be someone new to me, which is something I've kind of really enjoyed, because there are, like, you would think I know my set class, I kind of recognize all the familiar faces, but then turns out there's 1 or 2 people that I just don't know.
Yeah,
So.
I really think it's like the perfect balance of both worlds. People always like to say, like, if you're walking from class to class, you'll see, what is it, 10 to 15 faces you don't know and 5 to 10 familiar faces, something like that. I don't know if that's ever, it's a real research, but people always like to say that. So let's continue let's start talking about academics. We are a liberal arts institution. I'm not sure if you guys have heard this term. I used to hear it a lot in high school, but I never really fully understood it until I was at USD. So what this means is, even though you're going to emphasize in your major and what you choose to study, you usually don't take those classes to your junior and senior year. Your first year and your sophomore year, you will take classes in your core curriculum courses. And those classes range in a variety of different subjects. So it's pretty much like your high school classes right now, that you're taking English, you're taking math. That's how it is the first year at USD. And the reason why is because we want you to graduate as a well-rounded student. So even though you will focus and have a lot of knowledge in your major, when you're being hired, they'll also know you know how to write a proper essay, you know a little bit of math, you have background information of history. So it looks really good to be from a liberal arts institution. Another thing, it gives you time to explore what you want to study. If you were like me, I had no idea what I wanted to study. One day I wanted to study psychology. The next day I would watch a documentary and I'll be like, no, I want to study ethnic studies. And it kept changing. So it really gave me that space to determine what I want to major in. What about you, Sebastian? What do you like about the liberal arts education?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I like the kind of exposure that I'm getting to all the different types of subjects that normally I wouldn't necessarily be getting, just because I think it adds to just kind of developing a more holistic person. We're not, like, I think we all can agree that we have more than one interest. And so it's like, while it's not, maybe that subject isn't something I want to specialize in, I've learned more and I can kind of apply that knowledge into different
Yeah.
facets of my life eventually. So.
That's so true. I remember, like, I was dreading taking statistics, and I was like, why do I have to take a math course if I want to be a psych major? And I was so mad about it. And finally, when I took it, it was like one of my favorite courses. So I was like, it's all part of the liberal arts and education. You know, I was glad that I was forced to take it, and now I feel like I have a little bit of knowledge. And it does tie in with the psych major, so it was great. Another thing, we do have close-knit classrooms. So like your high school, coming from the Imperial Valley, I know most of your classes are like 30 students. At USD, your average is 22 students. So some of them might be a little bit more, some might be less, but we love that. Also, 100% of all classes are being taught by your professor. That's a good question to ask to all the other college representatives, is who teaches the classes, because if something important for you to get to meet your professors. At some of the bigger institutions, there's a teacher assistant or graduate assistant who are teaching the class, and that's something I never thought about when I was in high school, because I didn't even know that was a thing. But yeah, so at USD, our classes are being taught by our professors. Then the last thing I want to touch is office hours, because I think it's something really unique about USC. Do you want to talk about that, Sebastian, what office hours are?
Yeah, so office hours are kind of a set time block that the teacher kind of gives to the whole class, where it may be like an hour and a half, 2 hours, where you students can kind of come in and just kind of converse with the teacher, whether you have questions on the homework, test, anything and everything. And so typically it kind of ends up being that you go to the teacher to kind of have them help you with the course in whatever way that you need. And typically, and then what tends to also happen is that the teacher, you find out that the professors are also people too, and so you kind of build relationships with them. And so sometimes like you can find yourself going into their office hours just to catch up, just to have lunch, or to come just because you've grown to know them on that personal level. So
Yeah, I thought it was super cool because it doesn't make it like really official. Like you don't have to email your professor to schedule an appointment or ask questions through emails. You know, he or she will have the same office hours throughout the semester, so you could just visit him or her in their office. I thought that was really cool at USD. Last thing I want to talk about is at USD, you don't have to declare a major, and that's part of the liberal arts tradition. You don't have to declare your major into your second semester of sophomore year. So students come in as undeclared, because when you're applying to University of San Diego as a whole, and you're not applying to a specific college. And that's part of the liberal arts, but it's also part because none of our majors are impacted. So you have the opportunity to pick whichever major you would like. When did you declare your major, Sebastian?
I ended up declaring my major towards the end of sophomore year. Towards the end of sophomore year, yeah.
Yeah, that gives you, I just can't imagine, like, you have to know already before attending the university, like what your major is. Like, yeah. Okay, and also at USD, you have the opportunity to do undergraduate research. You don't have to be a science major. You could do it as in any major. We have grants, we have conferences that you could present your research. When I was a student, I was able to do research. I was taking a sociology course, and my professor and my classmates, we decided that we wanted to publish a book about Chicano Park. I'm not sure if any of you guys have visited Chicano Park, but we realized like there was no map or no history about every mural on the park. So we were able to publish a book through interviews, and we did a lot of research, and something that I will never forget that I did as an undergrad student. I thought that was great. Honors program is an amazing program that is by invitation only if you want to be part of it your first year. The top 10% of the incoming class gets invited to apply. The benefits of it is that your classes are even smaller than the 22 average class that we had taught. Your classes will be around 14 students, and you will live in the living learning community called Illuminate. I'm gonna ask Sebastian after he drinks a sip of water to talk about the living learning communities, because I was a transfer student. So I started at USD my second semester of sophomore year. So I never lived on campus. So Sebastian, can you tell us a little bit about the living learning communities?
Yeah. So the living learning communities, we also call them our LLCs, is so prior to starting your first semester, you kind of have to fill out this questionnaire that kind of asks you if a series of questions that kind of identifies if you're, say, an advocate or a collaborate. They have different kind of categories and groups that you're kind of placed into. And so when you find out what your LLC is, they find a class for you to get enrolled in. And in that LLC, you're kind of grouped with a bunch of kids. Everyone typically doesn't know each other, but grouped with a bunch of kids who are taking the same class, and it gives you an opportunity, and you guys are kind of living in the same housing area, and so it gives you an opportunity to learn more about this specific class, to a set group of people that you become familiar with and you can become friends with, as well as obviously kind of living off with them outside of the classroom. I personally found it to be really beneficial just because that's where I found a lot of my friends, and it gave me a lot of opportunities to kind of find like-minded people that I got along with going forward. So.
Yes, and also, so you are required to live on campus. If you're coming right after high school, you're required to live on campus your first year and your second year. We have an on-campus housing requirement. And make sure you research a little bit more about living learning communities. If you're planning to apply to USD, it is one of the questions that you could choose to answer, and it's one of the USD member questions, and I will talk about it more in a few slides. And being from Imperial Valley, you guys, you're only an hour and a half away from San Diego. So I'm sure most of you have visited San Diego. It's the number 8 biggest city in the nation. And I love it. One of the reasons why I picked coming to USD was because of the location. It was so close from Imperial Valley. It's only like a 15-minute drive from the international airport, and then the beach is super close. It's like 10 minutes. And then Mexico, Tijuana, it's about a 30-minute drive. That was super important for me because I knew I wanted to continue doing community service things in Tijuana like I used to do in Mexicali. We have over 30 cultural organizations, and we are in Division I athletics. This is Diego the Torero. He is our mascot. We like to joke at USD, I don't know if you guys knew, but there's 2 types of bullfighters. There's a matador, and then there's a torero. The matador kills the bull, the torero doesn't. He's friendly, so we like to say we even have a friendly mascot. Fraternities and sorority, 27% of our students are part of the fraternity and sororities. The only difference on our campus is that we don't have housing for them because you're still gonna live in the living learning communities, and you could apply, is that the correct term? I don't know. I wasn't part of one. Apply to be part of one into your second semester of your first year. But Sebastian, are you part of any clubs or intramural sports or clubs and organization? Because 75% of our students are involved in something. I wanted to ask if you are.
Yeah, so I'm a part of the university ministry. I've gotten also involved with the Greek life on campus that's been available to us. As well as the BCRE, which is like the Black Students Resource Commons, and the Student Support Services. There's a bunch of clubs to kind of get involved in, which has been really nice, and it's kind of given me like diversified kind of my interests a lot. And so, yeah, I've enjoyed it a lot. There's a lot of opportunities.
How is it to be in is it fraternity? I'm so like, I don't know anything about, I always forget which one's like the man and which one's the woman one. But give me more, can you tell us a little bit more how it's been your experience to join one?
Yeah, so just coming from my high school as far as being an all boys, I kind of wanted that that kind of brotherhood I was missing. I felt like that was missing when I got there. So I rushed a fraternity, Beta Theta Pi. And it's been honestly, it's enhanced my experience. I know it's not necessary for your experience to be well at all. I know I'd be well off without it, but it's added that missing component that I've been looking for, just to kind of have a group of people that I can turn to, like-minded people, as well as just people that I can hang out with. And so that's been a really huge plus for me going into as far as my college experience goes. And
That's really cool.
And they're really, like, I think all in all, they're really open, and it's really laid back and lenient. So
I think it's one of like, I think my regrets of not doing as my undergrad at USD, because I know a lot of friends, even now, years after we graduated, they still have that community. So even goes beyond your college years. And I think that's really cool as well. Okay. And I haven't mentioned the word change makers, I don't think, and we're huge in change making at USD, and it's kind of like a made up word, because if you write it in your email, you write it anywhere on an online document, it will have the squiggly line right below it. So what does it mean to be a change maker campus, and what the heck is Ashoka? That word is also another strange word. So Ashoka is a nonprofit organization, a worldwide organization, and they give this title to different universities around the world. They have given it to 45 different institutions, and we're one of those 45. So we're really proud of that. And what it means to be a change maker campus is that we're committed to these 5 different things, which are social justice, social innovation, entrepreneurship, sustainability, and global perspective. So when you're applying to USD, as the person who's going to be reading your applications, if you talk about these things, it's going to give you points, because we're going to see you as you're going to fit great in the USD community if you already believe in social justice, or if you have like an idea about how to have a better sustainability on campus, or global perspective. I mean, you're from Imperial Valley, you're close to the border. If you speak a second language, if you grew up with another culture, you already have a global perspective. So these are all great pointers to talk about in your application. Being committed to global perspective, we always found the top 10 study abroad participation. And what that means is you're taking classes outside of the United States, but during your USD college years. A lot of students don't know what study abroad means, but we're number 5 right now in the nation of participation. I would say at USD, you will feel weird if you don't study abroad, because everyone studies abroad. I remember like I never had like I never knew I was going to study abroad, but once I was at USD and everybody was doing it, I was like, okay, I think I need to do it as well. So I chose to go to Jamaica, which I loved. I continued going for 5 summers in a row after my study abroad participation. And you could choose from going in a summer or winter, like a 3-week course, or a semester, or a whole year. Have you studied abroad, Sebastian? I know right now because of the pandemic, but
Yeah, I was anticipating studying abroad in Prague for my fall semester junior year, but because of everything that's going on, that I think that's just kind of put on hold. But I'm hoping that once things continue to get better, that window opens up again. Maybe if it's just for 2 weeks or what have you.
yeah.
With that experience.
I really like that summer experience, even though it's much shorter than the other ones.
Mhm.
If you're planning to be a business major, we do have a double degree program in 5 different countries. What that means is you will study half of your time at USD and the other half in one of the 5 countries. I always forget them. Let's see if I remember. Ireland, France, Spain, Italy. Do you know the 5th one? I don't.
I don't either.
And it will come to me. There's a 5th one. Then USD Madrid Center, it's a great way if you feel if you feel like a little intimidated of going abroad, going somewhere, maybe you don't even know the language. USD Madrid Center is a great opportunity, because it's USD in Madrid, Spain, with USD professors, USD students. And I think it's a great way for you to go abroad, but still feel comfortable in your home country. Have you gone to Tijuana, Sebastian, or you haven't gone to Tijuana either?
I haven't gone. I've had a chance, but I missed the.
You
There are things
have,
going on. I know.
yeah. So USD also has this through USD Ministry. They do. I don't know if they still do every weekend, but when I was there, they would do these weekend trips to Tijuana, and you would get to visit like different nonprofits. So Sebastian needs to do it. He would do it soon. Okay, now let's go to our logistics. Now you know a little bit of how it is to be a torero, how you will feel to be on campus. Now let's talk about how to get you there. So application deadline, we only have one. It's easy not to forget, December 15th. We don't have early admissions at USD. It's just that one, December 15th. And then this last cycle, we had over 13,000 students who applied. 57% of them were accepted. 1,013 ended up coming to USD as first-year students. I'm going to be very transparent. This is a little bit different from past years because of COVID, because of the pandemic. Our numbers look different, but just to give you an idea of how they looked this last year. Someone asked, do we have any courses that have to do with performing arts? We do, right? We have a theater major. We do Fergie. But if you have more questions, stay during the Q&A, and I could research a little bit more about that, but we definitely do. Sorry, I'm trying to get this Q&A. Okay. And now the application requirements. So we are part of the Common App, just like 700 other schools in the US. Like I was saying in the beginning, if you do choose to apply to USD, we have the USD member questions. So these are extra questions that you might not have to answer for other schools. We always rotate them, so you might see you're getting big tips right here because you're already going to know what the questions are. They're going to be, if you were to choose what living learning community you would like to live in, which one would it be? So it's what Sebastian was talking about earlier. And they all, I don't know if you realize, we didn't mention all 5 of them. So it's cultivate, advocate, illuminate, collaborate. Why do I always forget the last one of everything? Cultivate, illuminate. I'm such a bad presenter. Well, there's 5 of them, and they all match with their ongoing commitment. So if you choose to answer that question, for example, if you say you want to be part of advocate, that ties in with the social justice. So it'll be good for you to talk about that. And to get more information about that, go to sandiego.edu and just do like the research of living learning communities if you choose to answer that question. The second question is, why do you want to go to a Roman Catholic institution? So if you are very strong with your faith background, answer that question and let us know why you want to go to a Catholic institution. Then the third question is, why are you a change maker? So if you have the global perspective, if you're doing some community service that have to do with social justice, answer that question, okay? Then personal essay. The personal essay has to be 650 words. This is your time your spotlight. You choose what you want to talk about. Sebastian, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you remember what you talked about?
My I talked about
a few years ago.
Yeah, I think I talked about my personal upbringing and kind of what brought me to that point, and then kind of my goals for the future moving forward, and why I believed like USD would help me.
I'm glad I asked, because a lot of students think their personal essay solely has to do with something they already did or went through. But that's a good point, because you could also talk about what is your vision, where do you want to get to, or if you have like a business idea or something that you want to do in the future, that's also great to talk about in your personal essay. Then official high school transcripts, we look at your freshman, sophomore, junior year, sometimes your senior year. My computer is about to die. Give me 1 second. This is really bad on me. So we do look at your 9, 10, 11 grades. Make sure you have that high trend, what we call, even if you might not have the best grades, make sure your senior year it goes up, because that looks really good. Get those straight A's, continue taking those challenging classes. We really do research in all high schools. So try to take as many of AP classes, honor classes that your high school's offering. Then 1 academic letter recommendation, we require only 1 coming from your teacher or a counselor. So it has to be from someone who knows you inside the class, but you do have the option to submit more than 1. It could be from, if you work at Starbucks, you could ask your supervisor if they really know you. Maybe they could talk about like, you're always on time, you're a hard worker, or if you're a team captain, or and you could ask anyone who really knows you to submit that 2nd, 3rd, even 4th letter recommendation. If you are an international student, require an 80 on your TOEFL or a 6.5 in your IELTS. Application fee of $55. If you need support in paying this, ask your high school counselor. If your high school counselor cannot help you, feel free to email me. You will get my email in just a second. And then official SAT, ACT score. So in Sebastian's time and my time, we had to submit them. Now it has changed. It is optional. It is up to you if you want to submit them. What I tell students, if you look at your score and you're like, oh my gosh, I did amazing, I am so proud of these scores, then submit them. But if you look at your scores and maybe you're like me, I was really bad in standardized tests, I would hate them because it wouldn't reflect me as who I was as a student. So if you think your scores do not reflect you as a student, do not submit them because we're a holistic review. We look at other things. It will not impact you negatively. Even if you have not taken them and you don't want to take them, then you don't have to take them because you don't have to submit them. I wish this was a thing when I applied. Okay, so for you to see how the applicants look like this last incoming class, the middle class, so some students had a higher GPA, some students had a lower GPA, had 3.83 to 4.24. So you could see there was 8% of people who had more than higher than a 4.5, but there was also 13% that had from a 3.8 to 3.7. So you can see right there the numbers. And the reason why is because we really look at change maker qualities. So we see that you're a full-time worker or you're very involved in something else and you don't have the highest GPA, then we see like, but this person has a lot of change maker qualities. And pretty much what change maker qualities are extracurricular activities, but we like to call them change makers at USD. Something that I want to throw here is a lot of students don't think they're leaders. They might not be like out there feeding the homeless, which is a great thing to do. But at home, you might have a leadership role, especially right now with COVID. Maybe your little brother now is taking classes online and your mom or your dad does not know how to use the computer. And you have taken now the role to be your little brother's or your sister's tutor or be there to start the class with for them. That's an added role and you're a leader that not everyone has. So make sure you talk about those leadership roles that you might have in your own house because we really see change maker qualities are a huge thing at USD, like I keep saying. Personal qualities from your letter recommendation and then your essay, and your test score is optional. Oh my gosh, now I feel like I'm talking too much because Sebastian is not talking. But Sebastian, you came in as a first year. I came as a transfer student. We're both getting the same degree. So you have options. If maybe it didn't work out the first time, maybe you didn't get accepted, or maybe you want to go to community college first. Maybe you want to go to IVC first, or you decided to move to New York and go to a school in New York. And now you're like, I hate the weather. I can't wait to go back to California. You have the opportunity to apply as a transfer student to USD. We require a minimum GPA of a 3.0 and at least 24 units. So that means you could transfer as early as your second year, your sophomore year. We do ask you to prioritize taking the USD core curriculum, which are college algebra, English composition, and if you want to be a business major, take the business related courses like marketing, those kind of classes. We do have a counselor who specifically only supports transfer students, and I will let you know at the end of the presentation. He's super cool, great guy. I'll let you know his name is Andrew. Then the application deadlines are a little bit different. Remember, for first year students, December 15. For transfer students, it's March 1st for the fall, October 1st for the spring. Okay, the big scary slide. How much is it to go to USD? And you might be very fortunate where when you see this number, it might not be a big deal for you. But if you were like me, I'm a first generation student. My parents didn't go to college. I'm also the oldest. So I was the first sibling. I wish I was not the oldest, but I was the first sibling to go to college. So I really couldn't ask my parents. I couldn't ask my sister and my brother. So when I was visiting different campuses, especially the private schools, and I would see this tuition, I would be like, wow, that's a lot of money. How am I ever going to attend there? So our tuition is $52,000. Room and board, which is room and your meal plan, is around $15,000. The reason why it's estimated is because you have, I guess I could call them like packages that you could pick from. So it could be cheaper than $15,000. The really amazing thing at USD is that 76% of our students receive some financial aid assistance, and the average financial aid award is about $30,000. So it's half of this. The different kind of financial aid assistance that you can receive at USD, the first one is merit scholarships. This is not an extra application. You automatically are in the pool for merit scholarships. If you fall in the top 40% of our incoming class, when you get the letter saying, Sebastian, you got accepted to USD, and you're also receiving a merit scholarship that's $25,000. So they will let you know in your acceptance letter. This is a scholarship that you will receive. It's a renewable. You just have to keep a 3.0, I believe, GPA. And like I said, top 40% of our students receive it. You could also receive university scholarship. Those are like the ROTC, athletic scholarship, or we have like a USD ministry has a scholarship if you're in the chorus group. So different departments have different scholarships. You could check those out also on our page, sandiego.edu. Outside scholarships are those smaller scholarships. I remember as a high school student, as a college student, I used to hate applying for them because they're time consuming, they're energy draining. They always usually ask you the same question, but please do it. Never stop applying for outside scholarships. Let it be a homework from now to you graduate from college, because they add up. Those $500, $1,000 might help you pay your rent, might help you buy your books. All that helps you out. So even though they tend to be a little bit smaller, continue applying for outside scholarships. So those are like McDonald's or Doritos, like different scholarships that you could find online. Need-based financial aid. I'm sure you guys are all seniors, so you heard of FAFSA. It's a free application. I'll always forget what it stands for. Free application for student. Is it student aid? Student? Yeah. Oh, okay. I got it. Yay. So the deadline's March 2nd. Like I said, it's a free application. So I always tell students, just apply for it. You never know. You might receive grants, or they offer loans as well. I had to get some loans when I went to USD. And this is, you will receive financial aid assistance according to your family's income. Okay. Then we have the DREAM Act and USD DREAM Act. Since all of you guys are in California, it will be the DREAM Act. I'm also the counselor for those students who are dreamers or undocumented. So if you are undocumented or dreamer, feel free to email me and I will support you through that process. Oh my gosh, that was a lot of talking. Sebastian, do you want to add anything about financial aid?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is especially just apply for FAFSA. The school's really helpful when it comes to financial aid.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
One Stop was like my place that I would always go to. And then I was part of SSS, Student Support Services. It's a really cool, it's like EOPS. And if you're a first generation student or you come from a lower income family, they also give you the extra support, which I loved. Race.me, this is a good slide to take a picture of. It's a platform where you will input all your accomplishments and your awards throughout high school. So if you were a team captain, if you were an ASB, and you will receive micro scholarships, we have partnered up with them. So if you do end up attending USD, we'll make sure you receive those micro scholarships. And we also love them because it encourages you to see those key traits that we want to see in the application, the change maker qualities that we love to see when you're applying to USD. And I think we have 5 minutes. I hope I'm correct. Yes. Okay, we're almost finished, guys. Career Development Center, something I never asked when I was visiting different colleges. Make sure it's a huge investment to go to a university. So you want to make sure that they're going to support you to find a job, because at the end of the day, most of us go to college so we could find a job after we graduated to make good money. So Career Development Center at USD is great. They help you with your resume building. They even help you in like telling you what to wear for an interview. Can you talk, Sebastian? Do you know a little bit about the TORERO treks?
Yeah, I've recently signed up for some, but basically the TORERO checks are it's something that the career development holds, and you sign up for different events and you more or less get kind of to go to, say, like Seattle, and you get to see a group of companies that are connected with USD, like Microsoft or Amazon or what have you, and kind of get that exposure to their corporate headquarters and all the opportunities that they have to offer.
Yeah.
And so I unfortunately haven't had the opportunity yet to go on one. I plan to, but my friends who have gone said that it's been a really kind of insightful experience to just kind of have, because you're gonna get that real world information directly from the source,
Yeah.
on what they expect and how to move and where to go from there.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. So they're basically what I like to say, like field trips to these big companies. And if you on your own, there's no way you will be able to schedule to go to Google just on your own. So this is a great thing Career Development Center does. Right now in the pandemic, students are doing it virtually. But when we go back, hopefully to more normal world, like Sebastian was saying, you actually go to like Seattle or the different places where these big corporations are at. Then there's really, I love this statistic, the 77% of students receive a job offer before they graduate. And that's something I love. When I was a student, I was volunteering at a nonprofit, and then they found out I was about to graduate and they offered me a job. And I was volunteering there because it was part of one of my class requirements. I had to volunteer there. So I was so happy that once I graduated, I was out in the real world, a big adult working a 40-hour full-time job, but I also didn't have to stress about applying to different jobs. So Career Development Center at USD is great. Okay, and we're almost finished. If you want to stay connected through social media, please take a picture of this QR code and it'll take you directly to our handles. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I know most of you don't do Facebook anymore, but if your parents want to see us on Facebook, have your parents go there. Then also another good slide to take a picture of. If you're an international student, Maria Malloy is your counselor. If you are planning to transfer, Andrew will be the one helping you. And then if you just want to come right after high school, me, and you will see a huge picture of me here. This is me. My email is empathy@sandiego.edu. Please email me. I'm also scheduling interviews. I just started this week. What interviews, they're not required, but if you want me to ask you some questions, take notes of you to get to know you a little bit more from outside your application. Once I'm reading your application in December, January, I will go back to my notes and be like, oh, Sebastian answered this question like this. So if you want an interview, email me, empathy@sandiego.edu. And that's it. We did it, Sebastian.
Hey, great job to both you, Michelle and Sebastian. We're glad you were here. Hey, by the way, let me jump in here. My name is Todd Evangelist, and I work with the Imperial County Office of Education. And as the students who are tuning in right now likely know, we are hosting the virtual Higher Ed Week. I guess it was last week and this week, so it's a 2-week session. And at the top of every hour, we have a new university or college that'll be hosting an hour, giving all the information about their school. Right now, at the 1 o'clock hour, we're still in it. And we have been joined by the team from University of San Diego, just down the road. Michelle and Sebastian are here. Michelle works in the admissions office, and Sebastian's an actual student. So you can maybe ask a couple of those questions directly to a student. To do that, we're going to, by the way, Michelle, if you could stick around for a second, Sebastian, we're going to ask you a couple questions that some students have turned in earlier and that might be typing right now. So if you're a student, you're listening right now, and you have a quick question about USD, or maybe a general question about college in general, I'm sure they would be happy to answer it. We're going to take some time to ask questions on your behalf, but you need to type those into the question and answer tab down at the bottom of your screen. And we moderate that at our office, and then we ask those questions accordingly. A couple that have come in earlier, Michelle, and I mentioned them to you in the section about financial obligations and financial aid. Obviously at a private university, the costs are a little high. So there was a question about, hey, are there scholarships available? I think I saw it on a couple of your slides, but maybe if you could just reiterate how students can get and find information about scholarships to USD.
Yes. So we do have scholarships. The scholarship that my office awards is a merit scholarship. And I think it's a great scholarship because you will be receiving it all 4 years of your undergrad studies if you maintain that 3.0. And those range from 18,000 to 25,000. It's not an extra application. If you fall in the top 40% of the class, and the two things that we look at is your GPA from 9, 10, and 11, and your change maker qualities. So if you have those change maker qualities, make sure you make them obvious on your application. You don't have the strongest GPA, but you have a lot of change maker qualities, you could fall in that top 40%. And you don't, so saying those two things, you don't have to submit your SAT or your SAT to be part of the top 40%. Then we have the university scholarships. Those you have to apply for through like our ministry, our different departments at USD. And you could find those if you go to sandiego.edu. And then in the search bar, you put scholarships. It will take you directly to the page. And then outside scholarships, those are scholarships that don't have to do with USD. And then FAFSA, of course.
Great, thank you, Michelle. And so, students, if you heard that, great, and we would encourage students to seek out those scholarships. There's a couple questions that are coming in, so thank you very much. Use that question and answer tab. We'll get to as many as we can. A couple of them, by the way, Michelle, related to, hey, do you have this major? Do you have that major? I'm assuming on your campus at some place on your campus webpage, there's a listing where they can find specific majors. So maybe we can.
I will send you a link right now. We have 42 different majors. To be honest, I don't have them all memorized, but I will send.
Well, thankfully your webpage does.
Yeah.
And now, as you're doing that, let me just, if you can do more than one thing at a time and listen to this next question. I thought I heard you mention that you were going to be one of the ones reading essays and interviewing students and essentially part of the enrollment team. So if a student's from Imperial Valley, they likely their application will likely go across your desk. So I say all that just to kind of heighten the alertness of students that are chiming in right now from Imperial County to pay attention to the person who's going to be reading your application to be admitted to this university. What are things that you are looking for when looking at a student? I heard you say the phrase change agent a couple times. So if I'm a student and you've said change agent 3 or 4 times in the last half hour, that has to be something that I have to pay attention to and really speak to in my essays and in my interviews and in my application in general. Is that a correct assumption?
And I want to advise everyone, even if you don't apply to USD, go to the university's webpage and look at what they believe in, what is their mission statement, and make sure you write about that in whatever college you're applying to. Because as an admissions counselor, we want to, even if you have the greatest GPA and you're a perfect student, we want to make sure that you're going to fit in our campus and you're going to be happy at University of San Diego. It's not all about just like having the perfect students, you know? So at USD, like Todd just said, we are huge with change maker qualities. We even have a competition called, it's not called Shark Tank. What am I talking about? It's like Shark Tank, where students go pitch their idea if they have like change making ideas or vision, and then investors will give them money if they win. That's how huge we are on the change maker qualities. So you don't have to be a business major. A lot of times people think that to be a change maker. Me coming from Imperial Valley, I was always big on immigration and supporting those migrant families in the U.S. So that's what I wrote about when I was applying to USD. And I think maybe that's why I got accepted, because I didn't have the highest GPA. I definitely didn't have the highest GPA when I was at Central. And then at IVC, I did better, and they looked at those grades. But when I went to USD and I would meet the students that were coming from private schools who had all these AP classes and honors classes, I was like, how did I get myself here? But it was because I was a huge change maker, and I was doing, and I continue to do that at USD. So please write about global perspective, social justice, social innovation. Sebastian is like, because everyone at USD, so you will hear this all the time, change maker, change maker. Go to our page, sandiego.edu, research change maker. Maybe you'll get more information feel a little bit more comfortable talking about it if you read more about it. So being change maker is huge. Please write about it in your application.
All right, great. So I'm glad we were able to kind of double down on that, because it seems like it's an important topic at your campus. And I guess I would encourage students to say more than simply, I'm a change maker. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to demonstrate it in what those things are.
Maybe I should have said that, because you don't have to, we don't want to just see the words social commitment, global perspective. Like, we don't have to see the terms. We just want you to talk about it. If you grew up speaking a different language, if you grew up with a different culture, that's you having global perspective, but you don't have to necessarily put on your essay, I have global perspective.
Right.
Great point, Todd.
All right, good. A couple more real quick. You mentioned, well, by the way, just to let folks know, we thank you for tuning in. Sometimes students are tuning in a little bit late, or maybe you're tuning in a little bit early for the 3 o'clock hour. Hang tight, you're at the right spot. This is the Imperial County Office of Education's Higher Ed Virtual Week, and we're highlighting the different university at the top of every hour. Coming up at 3 o'clock are the team from University of Arizona, and specifically the Yuma campus. So just hang tight, they'll be with us at 3 o'clock, but right now we're speaking with the team from University of San Diego, the TOREROs. Now, you had mentioned at the end of your slide deck that there was, you guys do a strong effort towards connecting students. We all go to college for a reason. Most of those reasons are to get a job afterwards. And so connecting college and going to USD with the career after the fact. Can you share a little bit about that, Michelle?
Yes, and we're being super transparent here, guys, that it's a huge investment. We want you to get that good job after you graduate. Most of our students do several internships throughout their undergrad. That helps them with the job industry after they apply. Like I said, I received a job through a community service opportunity that I had to do at USD, but the TORERO Treks, I think, is one of the most great things that the Career Development Center has, like we were just talking about. These field trips, take advantage of them. If you end up at USD, visit Amazon, visit Google, visit those big corporations if that's something that you want to do after you graduate, because you'll be able to, just like you're doing right now, you'll be able to hear from their representatives of what they want to see from the person who's applying to the job. And that's something that you wouldn't get from just Googling job openings and then you applying for those jobs. Another cool thing about the Career Development Center, they do the simple, like the most simple things, but you don't realize like how helpful they are. They even have like a photo shoot like area in their office where you could come in and take professional pictures. So like you could put on your LinkedIn, or you could put on in different job applications that required you to put a picture. And it's simple things that you don't talk about, but they make a huge difference when you're applying for jobs. If they see that you have a really professional picture, that puts you on top of the list. So Career Development Center, great at USD. It's even in our same office. So I think that's something really cool at USD. Our building is the admissions office and for undergrad, and then their Career Development Center. So it tells you like how important it is to have our students come to USD, but also to help them out once they're looking for jobs. It's like the before USD and also the after USD in one building, which I think is really cool.
Well, if you're going to use a religious theme, the Alpha and the Omega for students that come into University of San Diego. Yes. Hey, Sebastian, let's throw it to you now real quick. Coming over from Phoenix, and you're one of those Brophy Bronco boys. And so a lot of your high school friends probably went to universities all throughout the country. What made you choose University of San Diego? What's unique about the experience that you're having at the University of San Diego?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think for me, I knew that I wanted to attend USD when I came through the Me at USD program, and I got the opportunity to kind of stay on campus and kind of see what the campus has to offer. The three kind of things that drew me in was the campus size. Campus size, the moment you step onto campus, it's perfect size in my opinion. It's beautiful. It kind of takes you away. The second thing was the small classroom environment. I think I wanted to know my professor and the personal relationship that you can establish with your professor as far as like academics go, just because I know that I'm not necessarily like the smartest kid. I'm the kid who needs help, right? And so having a comfortable relationship with my professor and feeling like my professor knows who I am, that really added to it. And I think just the location in general, what USD has to stand for, and being in San Diego, close to home, but also relatively a good distance to where I feel like I'm outside my own bubble and I get to explore kind of San Diego and be next to the beach and see what San Diego has to offer. So that's what drew me in. So
I want to talk a little about me at USD because I think it's a great thing. And I'm actually the advisor for it. It's a program that once you get accepted to USD, but if you're deciding if like either I want to go to USD or if I want to go to Cal Poly Pomona, like if you get accepted to multiple schools, we have a program called Me at USD that's a day program and then an overnight program. And we invite everyone who's a first generation or coming from multicultural background, because we know a lot of times I had no idea, even if I got accepted, I didn't know if I should go there because I couldn't ask my parents. So everything's paid for. You sleep in a dorm with the current USD students. You get to attend classes like if you were a student. So it's a really great opportunity. If you do apply, you get accepted, and you want to be part of Me at USD, email me as well, empadilla@sandiego.edu.
Great. You mentioned that email at the end, and we have a landing page right now that you could text or take a picture of the QR code, fill out your information. We'll pass that along to Michelle and the team at USD, and they'll contact you. Or Michelle, do you have, like, if you could maybe flash up on the screen your landing page or your email? Well, you just mentioned it again, or maybe if you could share your last slide. And as she's doing that, we want to thank the team from USD. We're right at almost close to the 2 o'clock hour. So we want to give enough transition for students to kind of get shuffled in for the 2 o'clock hour with University of Arizona in Yuma. So on the screen right there, you have Michelle and her email address. Thank you, Michelle, for joining us today. You may have noticed that this session is being recorded. So if you came in late and didn't get all of it, know that we will be slicing up these recordings every day, putting them on our YouTube channel in a playlist specifically, and then we'll share the links on our social media. But most likely for students who are listening, we're going to be sending these links out with a list of what's happened of the calendar on the slots for each day and the schedule, so to speak. And we'll be sending that to your high school counselors, and then they will forward that on to you as well. So we thank the team from USD for joining us right now. And what we'd like to do is switch gears and I guess go east to Yuma for the University of Arizona in Yuma. We're going to start up in just a few minutes, but thank you to the University of San Diego. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a great day.